Hi, and welcome back to the fourth video of my Kubernetes series. In this video, we will be installing the Helm package manager and go through some of its commands. This Kubernetes-specific package manager is an important piece of the infrastructure, and we will be using Helm a lot in videos that are yet to come. So let's get right into it. Helm can be installed a few different ways, so let's take a quick look at the Helm website. Once on the Helm website, if you want to install it, you go to Get Started, scroll down a bit, and then you have the installation guide. There are four options to install it. Number one, you can just download the binaries and unpack them. Right here. You can also use a script to install Helm, which is the next option. You can build it from scratch, and then you can add repos to your distribution and install it through the package manager of your choice. We will follow this last path and scroll all the way down until we find Debian Ubuntu. So now let's switch over to the terminal and enter each command at a time and install Helm. We'll start with adding the key to our system by copying and pasting, and the key should be added. To verify, we can actually ls user share keyrings, and we should see a Helm GPG, which we do right here. Perfect, so that worked. Let's continue with the next command, which is the sudo apt install the apt-transport-https. This command will not be necessary as we've already installed that in a previous video. However, if you do that, you add this package and you should be good for the next command. Now we're going to add the repository in which we will be able to find Helm. So we're going to copy and paste that command in here. Now we can verify that as well through ls etc apt sources.list.d, and we should see a Helm stable Debian. Now all we have to do is sudo apt update, and the Helm stable repository that we added is part of the repository as well. And now we can actually install Helm by adding sudo apt install Helm. Right, we don't have to add the confirmation, and Helm is being downloaded and installed. As you can see, it goes pretty quickly. Now what we can do is I'm going to empty the screen and say Helm help. That command gives you all the details on all the commands you can run through Helm. So let's scroll up a bit and take a look at some of these commands. So as you can see, you can first of all search for charts, as those implementations for Kubernetes is called. You can then pull and download those charts onto your local computer. You can install charts by using Helm install, and then you can also list your releases that you have deployed in your cluster through Helm list, adding a namespace to it, which we'll get to in a bit. So those are some basic commands, and then if we scroll further down, you see the complete list of commands that Helm provides and that you're able to use. As is the case with any other package manager, you have to add repositories to that package manager. And that's usually where you start. You found a chart online which you would like to install on your cluster, so you have to add it. Let's start with that step, and then we'll go from there. To add a repository, the command is helm repo add, and then you add your repo, you give it a name. I'm going to use an example, which is the NFS provisioner we're going to install in the next video. However, we're going to use this here as an example. So NFS provisioner provisioner. And then you have to add the address where this Helm repo is stored. So we're going to copy that and paste it in here. And then you just hit enter. Now, as you can see, you get your NFS provisioner has been added, success message. Now, let's go through and say Helm repo update. It pulls the latest charts. It says it was successful pulling that, and I only have one library or one repository added. If you have more, it will pull the latest from all repositories. And then it confirms that the update was complete and your chart was successfully downloaded. So now we can go through and say, let's take a look at that repo. So we're saying Helm search repo, and we're going to say NFS provisioner. And unfortunately, in this repo, there's only one Helm chart, but that is good for an example. So now in here you see we have the NFS provisioner and the chart. Now you have options to get details about this Helm chart by saying Helm show and then the name of the chart. And for this name, you just copy and paste the full name of this chart and hit enter. What you see now is that I should have added some more details, what I actually wanted to see. I was able to show everything, the chart only, custom resource definitions, the README, or the values. The values is especially interesting as you can change values that the chart needs in order to set up your deployment properly. So anyway, let's go through again and say, what do we want to see? We want to see all of this chart, and now you get every single detail that the author put or provided in this Helm chart, in the README, in the description, or anywhere else for that matter. So let's go up again. All right, here's our command. And then you get all the details. You get the Kubernetes, the kube version, you get the name, you get the source, you get the values file, which is the next piece here. You get a README if it's available, and every single detail that the author provides on the GitHub repositories and makes available through the Helm chart itself. As you can imagine, there are a lot more commands that you could run, a lot more stuff you could do with Helm. However, this was not supposed to be a comprehensive tutorial on Helm. We will be using Helm to implement some of charts and some of the implementations that we're going to use in further videos of this series. So we needed this package manager installed, and this was just a quick run through of some basic commands and how Helm works. We will be using it going forward as mentioned, and we will be getting into some of those commands going forward a little deeper. For now, that's already it. This video was extremely short, but it was a very important one. So let's recap. What's working? We have a fully working cluster now, including a package manager, which we can use to add repositories to, and then deploy these charts into our own cluster. What's not working yet? We, to this point, have no deployments on our cluster yet, which we will change in the next video, where we will be using Helm to install an NFS provisioner to dynamically provision storage for pods and containers. What's left to do? In the context of this series, quite a lot. We still have to set up some of the basic infrastructure of the cluster, such as a database, external storage provisioning, which obviously comes first. And then we will get into setting up some of the deployments that are visible from the outside of the cluster. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining me for this part of the video series, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.